The fall of Constantinople wasn't an ending. It was a strategic withdrawal into time. While Ottoman cannons breached the walls on May 29, 1453, Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos executed a final order, not to save his life, but to preserve Byzantium's possibility of resurrection. The evidence was in the Vatican Secret Archives, in a coded letter from Cardinal Isidore of Kiev to Pope Nicholas V, dated June 10, 1453, after the city had fallen. It read, "The Emperor's last act, the sacred reserve removed through the seawall where it breathes. The map is in the liturgy, the key in the schism. God preserve it until the union of churches makes its use holy." Where the sea wall breathes, the Marmara sea walls had underwater gates for sewage outflow. The map is in the liturgy. The Eastern Orthodox Divine Liturgy contains hidden geography. The key in the schism, the East-West Church Schism of 1054. The hunt for Constantine V's $500 million resurrection fund began with a cardinal's posthumous report. Phase 1. The Divided Church's Secret. Dr. Eleni Makris, Greek Orthodox theologian and historian, joined me. "The schism wasn't just theological," she said. "It created parallel financial systems. Byzantine emperors hid wealth where only those who understood both Roman and Orthodox traditions could find it." The map in the liturgy referred to the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom, specifically the Great Entrance Procession. Medieval Byzantine manuscripts showed this procession following specific paths in the Hagia Sophia that corresponded to constellation patterns. Eleni cross-referenced 15th century liturgical maps with astrological charts. The procession path on the feast of St. Constantine, May 21st, aligned with Ursa Minor, pointing north from the altar to the sea walls. But modern Istanbul isn't medieval Constantinople. The sea walls were rebuilt, landfilled, turned into highways. Except one section, the Bucolion Palace sea gates, partially submerged, mentioned in Ottoman records as sealed by order of Mehmed II himself. Why would the conqueror seal a sewage gate unless he knew something was there? Phase 2. The Ottoman Paradox. We needed permission from both Turkish authorities and the Ecumenical Patriarchate. This created immediate tension. Turkish Ministry of Culture, cautious about any find that could fuel Greek irredentism. The Patriarchate, concerned about treasure hunters desecrating sacred history. Greek government, quietly supportive but diplomatically constrained. Russian oligarchs claiming spiritual heritage through Moscow's Third Rome Doctrine. An unexpected ally emerged, Professor Ahmet Demir, Turkish marine archaeologist. "My grandfather was a Janissary descendant," he said. "Family stories mention Mehmed ordering a sea gate welded shut, then building a mosque over it. The Küçük Ayasofya Mosque." The Küçük Ayasofya, Little Hagia Sophia, was indeed built over a sea gate, and its orientation was 3 degrees off true Mecca alignment, highly unusual for Mehmed, who was precise about such things. Demir had scanned the area with sonar. There's a submerged chamber beneath the mosque's foundation, but accessing it requires going through the mosque's crypts, which requires Patriarchate permission. Phase 3. The Liturgical Key. Eleni found the key in a 14th century manuscript of the Akathist hymn. Marginal notes in Constantine XI's handwriting. The union of churches will be sealed when Peter's key turns in Andrew's lock. The sequence: Rome, Constantinople, Jerusalem, then home. Peter's key, Roman, turning in Andrew's lock. Orthodox St. Andrew founded Constantinople's church. But how? The Küçük Ayasofya's crypt had a marble door with 2 keyholes, one Latin cross-shaped, one Greek cross-shaped. A dual lock requiring both Catholic and Orthodox participation. We needed a Roman Catholic cardinal's pectoral cross, the key, an Eastern Orthodox bishop's engolpion, medallion. After delicate negotiations, representatives from both churches agreed to participate. The first joint ritual in the location since 1453. Cardinal Russo's cross fit the Latin hole. Metropolitan Alexios's engolpion fit the Greek hole. Turned simultaneously, the door opened. The physical manifestation of church union, 569 years after Constantine died hoping for it. Phase 4. The Empire in Suspension. The chamber was neither tomb nor treasury. It was an archive of state. Gold bullion stamped with the double-headed eagle, but also with Ottoman tugras, proof some was looted back from the Turks. Imperial regalia not for wearing but as templates, crowns, scepters, ceremonial armor. Legal documents. The complete Corpus Juris Civilis, Justinian's law code, on gold leaf parchment. Administrative records, tax rolls, diplomatic treaties, military manuals. And most importantly, succession documents, naming not a person, but conditions for the next Byzantine emperor. The central document, Constantine's final chrysobull, gold-sealed decree, read, "To our successor, whenever God grants one, we have preserved not wealth, but the means to restore an empire. This gold is not for a dynasty, but for an idea, that Rome may sleep but never die. Use it only when East and West are truly reconciled in Christ, when the great church is whole again, and when the people desire their Roman inheritance. Until then, let Byzantium rest in God's hands, not men's. This wasn't a treasure hoard. It was a government in exile's operating fund, frozen in time, awaiting political and religious conditions that never materialized." Phase 5. The Modern Schism. Emerging, we faced a crisis of ownership. Turkey claimed it as found on Turkish soil. Greece claimed it as Hellenic cultural heritage. The Vatican claimed spiritual oversight as successor to Rome. The Orthodox Church claimed custodianship as Constantinople's spiritual heir. UNESCO declared it World Heritage, needing neutral management. Eleni proposed a radical solution. Constantine didn't hide this for nations or churches. He hid it for the idea of Rome. What if we honor that by creating something new? Her proposal: the New Rome Foundation, headquartered in Istanbul, managed by a board of historians from Turkey, Greece, Italy, and religious scholars from both churches. Its mission: not to restore Byzantium, but to fund Byzantine studies worldwide, preserve endangered manuscripts, and sponsor interfaith dialogue. The valuation was secondary to the symbolism: gold, 3,000 kiloklu, $180 million, artifacts, regalia, 300 million as cultural objects, historical documents, priceless, total insured value, $500 million. But the real value was diplomatic, bringing Greek and Turkish scholars together, Catholic and Orthodox clergy, to steward a shared heritage without claiming ownership. Phase 6, the Empire of Memory. Today, the gold funds the Constantinople Center for Late Antique and Byzantine Studies in Istanbul. Greek and Turkish students study together. The regalia are displayed not as Greek or Turkish property, but as Mediterranean heritage. For me, the discovery revealed Constantine XI not as a tragic last emperor, but as a strategic futurist. He knew Byzantium would fall. So he cryogenically preserved its state apparatus, betting that future generations would value the idea enough to resurrect it, not as a political entity, but as a cultural and spiritual legacy. Sometimes the greatest treasure isn't what was lost, but what was intentionally saved from loss. Constantine didn't try to save his throne. He tried to save the possibility of Byzantium, not for himself, not for his family, but for civilization itself. The real treasure was finding that the last Roman emperor was actually the first archivist of a civilization, who understood that empires aren't buildings or borders, but ideas, and ideas can be buried like time capsules, waiting for a future worthy of them. Perhaps that's Byzantium's final lesson: nothing truly ends if it's preserved with enough care and foresight. The gold was just the medium. The message was, we were here. We mattered. Remember us not with nostalgia, but with the wisdom to build something lasting from our memory. And in that vault, under a mosque that was a church that was a sea gate, the Roman Empire still waits, not for restoration, but for understanding, which might be the only resurrection that matters.